Hey everyone, it's Beth and it is Friday, August 21st. So I am doing a little tarot reading for creative people, for your creative lives, for your creative practice, and how that plays out in the weekend and yeah, the next couple of days. So interesting astrology as always. It just never stops. We have, see if I can get this straight. We have a Venus, kind of the big themes, or we have this Venus and Saturn opposition, which I'm sure you all have heard about, and that's in Libra and Aries, and I'm in Aries with lots of other planets in Aries, so there's a lot of it is affecting me, and you may have a lot in Aries like me, or you may have a lot in Libra, whatever. You've got this tension of, beauty and abundance and splendor and love. And then you have like Saturn, not like I love Saturn. Like Saturn is kind of saying, are you sure? Like, is that don't go overboard. Like, be strategic, be grounded, have your head on your shoulders, like that kind of thing. So it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, Venus, you can just run away with the abundance of Venus, and Saturn's like, man, check your bank account. Do you really have enough time? Saturn is about time. Do you have enough time to have all this fun? Like, and it's reminding you to balance and pay attention to what's important. So it's to me it feels like a very normal, I don't know, it feels very normal to me, the energies that are happening right now. Although I do feel at the end of August, I never get a lot of work done. And I feel like the pull to just like squeeze whatever I can out of summer is like happens the last couple of weeks of August. I always sort of assume I'm not gonna get a lot of actual art done. And it's like the last couple of weeks of August, if I can, are for swimming and, doing stuff with friends. And yesterday I went boogie boarding and then went to a play, and like it's that kind of time where it's a seize the day moment in time. And so then we also have this karmic feeling, this karmic tug with the nodes, because remember, we're in between eclipses, and so we're feeling that really that huge tidal pull of energy of our past and our future. I did that wrong. Past and future. Maybe it works on your side. um, and so what are you leaving behind? What are you moving towards? And you may feel like you're at a crossroads around this because of Saturn, and not because of Saturn, because of the sun and the nodes, and how the sun is sitting on the south node, and Hecate is sitting on the north node, the asteroid goddess Hecate. And so I was reading Deborah Young's astrology this morning, and she was saying you may really feel like you're in that crossroad moment and feel like stuck at it. And when we're stuck in that crossroad moment, and do I go here or do I go there? And you really don't know, like Yogi Berra, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. Like that's kind of how it feels like. And you may get pulled into something of the past, and you may be afraid of the future, and all this. Like, I get caught in these places too, and the future feels too scary, and the past feels more comfortable. And so this is where we are. And so I wanted to do a quick little reading. It's on this, exactly what Deborah Young says in her post. She says, um If you are standing at personal crossroads, I'll pull this over here so I'm not turned away from you. If you're standing at personal crossroads, you may want to ask yourself which path feels exhausting and draining. That's the south node. And which one feels energizing, exciting, and scary. Then asked Hecate to hold her torch higher. So we're asking the goddess Hecate to light the way, because as if you don't know this, the north node is where we want to go and the south node is where we want to leave behind. So we're the eclipse that just happened was a north node in Aquarius and a south node in Leo. And the one we're having in a few days, in a week, I guess, is going to be the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo. And so we're looking towards Pisces and Aquarius, and we're releasing the pull to go towards Leo and Virgo. And so whatever that means to you. And so there's a lot of like expansive oneness, humanity, collective energy in that forward uh momentum, that forward space. And we're leaving behind kind of the darker aspects of Leo and Virgo, which are usually narcissistic and selfish and kind of I feel like that sort of OCD tendency, that kind of critical nitpicking, this or this must be this, controlling, like those kinds of forces. Those aren't necessarily the forces of Virgo and Leo, but they're the shadow behaviors of these signs, and that's what we're releasing. And so when we feel that, when the south node feels more comfortable, check to see if there's a draining, exhausting energy, and find out where. Like for me, it's kind of like I kind of feel it up here, like this dullness and this pressure. And then when I think of the north node, I just think of, like, I don't know, this expansion in more like out and around. Like it just feels like this beautiful movement forwards, but it feels it's unknown, it feels scary, and yeah, it's hard to it's hard because it's the unknown. Anyway, I better get into these cards because that's a lot of talking. So let's look. So this is what I'm doing the tarot reading on. So we're at the crossroads, right? So what is the crossroads? Actually, I feel like now it's going to be four cards. So the crossroads is about the Queen of Cups. Interesting. So we're trying to follow our heart. We're trying to find out where our heart is. This is what I'm feeling. And the heart, like where we feel generous and just in love with life and full to overflowing and just bountiful and beautiful. So that's the crossroads. And sometimes we can confuse other things for that. We can confuse old patterns and what we thought was love, and maybe we can sort of look at the past with rose-colored glasses and say, oh no, but that was it, that kind of thing. So anyway, so that's the crossroads, is about love. It's about our heart. That makes sense. And so now we're going to look at the path that feels exhausting and draining. So what's the path that feels exhausting and draining? Interesting. We have the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is is usually it's like in this case, I mean, it's a good card. It's a lovely card. But if I was to look at it as an exhausting, draining card, I would see the idea of marriage and home and family and someone, like kind of projecting that kind of love, like institutional love. It's funny because just yesterday I was listening to this podcast or whatever YouTube woman. I'm not sure what, but it's called The Unpunishable Woman. And she was talking about these ideas of marriage and how so many women these days think about the ring and the ceremony and the bridesmaids and the bachelorette and all this stuff. They're thinking about that and they're not thinking about the actual reality of the institution of marriage enough. So she had a great talk about that. Not that that's anything that I'm thinking about. Like that's like way in the past for me. But and it may be for you too. I don't know who's listening to this, but I know some of the people that are wouldn't be thinking of that either. So how can we look at that in a bigger way? So the the Four of Wands is some to me it's like fours are always containing. They're contained, they're structured, they're boundaried. And there's some, so I could see some kind of rules and boundaries and structure around celebration, around friendship or around relationships or around partnership or marriage. There is some kind of tightening and closing that we don't usually look at when we look at this card, but think about it. Think about kind of relationships as prisons instead of this big, wide, open space. So that's what that is saying. And now we're going to look at the North Node. So what feels exciting, exhilarating, scary? And that is our North Node. And I knew this was going to happen. It's the Ten of Wands. I knew it was going to be a card. I just had this feeling like we're going to get a card that is really like pleasant for what is exhausting, and we're going to get a card that looks hard. At least it's not the Nine of Swords. So it is the Ten of Wands, and so the Ten of Wands is someone burdened and working too hard. So I think this is what we're afraid of. We're afraid of working too hard and being alone and having everything fall on our shoulders and just like have life being too hard, like sort of maybe we're going off on our own and we're afraid of having to do it all ourselves. And that is a fear of artists. Like that is a real fear of artists. And sometimes we go into structured relationships in order to protect us from this going out on our own and doing it all ourselves kind of thing. And that is often like this is the fantasy that we're projecting onto a marriage or a relationship, and this is the fear we're projecting onto being on our own and doing a lot of work by ourselves and getting it done the way we want to. I think that's how I'm going to interpret these cards, because I knew they were going to mess with me. And so of course the Four of Wands is going to look way better. Like we're not going to want to go to that Ten of Wands. Like that just looks hard and it looks exhausting and it looks lonely. But here's the thing. They're almost there. The end is in sight. And think of the accomplishment. Like I think about Capricorn here. think of the accomplishment that you will feel when you get to hear with what you've done, with what you've accomplished. And so I kind of see this as, yeah, this does look, we're projecting fear onto this card, but we're almost there. We're almost there. And I think that we need to ask Hecate to keep us on this path of, like, think about those wands as all your baby art projects, or all your paintings that you're taking to a gallery, or all the songs you've written for a CD. You're almost there. Like the 10 means you're almost there. Like you're kind of there. Like that person has like half a mile tops before they get there, and they're not in rags. They're actually doing pretty good. So let's just look at Hecate for and now we have the Four of Swords at the end. And so we're asking her to light our path. And so lighting our path, we're asking Hecate to light our path, and what we're getting is the Four of Swords. So again, we got this the other day too, is rest. So yeah, we got this on Monday. She's asking us to rest. We can't keep doing this even if the house is in sight, like even if the prize or whatever, the finish line is in sight. It doesn't mean that you can't put everything down and rest. And maybe that's what these last 2 weeks of August is about resting. And just knowing that you're almost there. Don't project any fantasy onto the past, because you're almost there, and you're allowed to rest and take care of yourself, and just pick up the wands the next day and keep going forward and keep going towards your destination. I think this is keep going towards your goals and dreams. Keep asking Hecate to light your way. I even have a meditation way at the beginning of this YouTube, channel that I did years ago on calling in Hecate. And I mean, I haven't watched it in years. I don't know what it's like, but you can always check it out if you want to call in the energy and the compassion and the light of Hecate to help you make some kind of big decision that will keep you from going backwards into the past and keep you going forward towards your goals and dreams. All right, everyone. I hope that helped. And hey, I noticed I had one more subscriber, so I'm up to 60. Woohoo! I mean, I'm not doing anything that you're supposed to do to, like grow numbers or anything. I don't know. I'm just having fun here. So, that's really fun anyway. And so thank you all, and see you Monday. All right. Bye.